High-end bottles costing hundreds. Even one spray can set you back a little bit.
But what if we said there's a way you can smell almost identical to the designer brands for a fraction of the price? For once, it isn't too good to be true. We're not talking about fakes, we're talking about dupes. And presenter Cherie Murphy has been to pick up the scent.
Fragrances, aftershaves, perfumes. Last year, we spent a record £2 billion on products that make us smell good.
Sometimes you put makeup on if you don't feel great. Perfume does the same job.
So it's nice to have something to treat yourself with.
Like, it's just nice to smell nice.
If you smell good and someone compliments you, it gives you that extra little ego boost, I guess.
It does. A bottle of big brand scent can cost hundreds of pounds. But also on the high street are imitation scents known as dupes, short for duplicate. They aim to replicate the big brand smell, but sell for a fraction of the price. And in 4 years, demand for dupes has rocketed by 1,600%.
I think a lot of them do smell really good and do smell really close to the original.
For half the price, yeah.
I think it makes things more accessible for people that want to smell nice as well.
Dupes are not dodgy, counterfeit knockoffs. They're absolutely legit.
It's not a forgery, it's not a fake, but it's an alternative that's been inspired by a famous brand. And they can smell very similar. So think of them like a supermarket own brand version of a scent.
To find out why the dupes are proving popular, I'm meeting Dr. Dimitrios Sevrikos, a consumer psychologist from University College London.
So I think everyone is looking for something that they can afford, but also they really do enjoy being savvy, so finding a cheap alternative that does exactly the same thing. But they are legal, as long as they don't actually claim to be the brand itself. So there's a difference between, a counterfeit and a dupe. A dupe is inspired by rather than copying a brand.
What do you think the big brands think about dupes?
On first reading, perhaps they might be disappointed. However, when it comes to dupes, a number of people actually buy them because they can't afford the real brand. So at the time that they can afford it or they want to treat themselves, they will actually end up buying the real deal.
So dupe perfumes are legal to buy and they're a lot cheaper. But this is perfume we're talking about. It's got to smell good. So I'm going to put it to the test.
I'm joining Professor James Covington from the University of Warwick and some volunteers to put the perfumes through their paces. We have 4 big brands costing up to £295 and their dupe equivalents, lowest price, a tenner. After our 11 testers get a good waft of the big brand fragrance,
what you've just been given is the brand product, so that is our reference.
We ask them to identify it again. But will they be able to pick out the brand from the dupe?
Here we go, there's strip A, strip B.
I see B.
Oh, B. We have a B here. And we want to go B as well.
Let me spell it again.
B for branded.
Beef branded.
A for branded. Oh, interesting.
In 3 out of 4 rounds of our Battle of the Bottles, the majority of our testers managed to pick out the brand, correctly identifying the big name 68% of the time. But the Marks & Spencer's dupe version of Creed Aventus was selected by 7 of our 11 sniffers who wrongly thought that the dupe was the real thing, despite costing £285 less.
Quite a few different answers there.
The higher price purchase of the big brands could be down to how long that scent lingers. So, after 20 minutes have passed by, we asked our volunteers to identify the brand from the dupe once again.
And do you think any have faded?
Yeah, I think A is faded.
A is faded and you think B is the brand?
Yeah.
Here we go, there's strip A.
Yeah, A is still quite strong. It still smells a real.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
It's funny how everyone's so different. Everyone's noses are so different, but hey.
This time around, it was a bigger win for the brands, as the volunteers correctly identified them 73% of the time. So it was the aroma of the top price scents that stayed the strongest.
Well done. Thank you
everybody.
so much.
But to see just what these fragrances are made of, James has some high-tech kit which can tell just how the ingredients of the brands and their dupes actually match up.
And so we did an analysis of basically the odours coming off the perfumes. So we put this in a really expensive machine to tell us what the chemicals in those smells are.
And just what is revealed is fascinating. Each chemical ingredient making up the aroma is shown on a graph. Orange is the brand and blue is the dupe. And there's a price difference of £95 between these two.
And for this, which is Black Opium and Bangkok, you can see that the dupe really closely matches the brand product.
Really close.
So these basically kind of give you some indication of concentration. As you can see as you go along, it's very, very close. And the dupe manufacturer's done a very good job of this. So there is a couple of small changes or differences between the brand and the dupe, but not huge.
In fact, the chemical analysis across the board shows how closely the dupes matched the brand.
There's a number of different chemical components which they've matched reasonably well. But in terms of the kind of breadth of different chemical odours, it's not so close. And you can see they've done pretty well. They have basically the same chemical components.
Creed Aventus and its M&S dupe were closely matched in our smell test. But what does the text say?
So you've got quite a lot of additional chemicals in the brand and a few that are associated with the dupe. But when we ran the tests with the user group, they really, really struggled to tell the difference in that. And it could be that these groups of chemicals over here are much higher concentration in the odours, and therefore they're kind of overpowering these kind of smaller chemical components.
Okay.
So, but they really struggle to tell the difference between that. And it's likely this part here are the most important chemicals in that kind of perfume smell.
So, in the final analysis, how do the dupes stand up against the brands?
Chemically, we were really surprised at how close they were. They were sprayed onto smelling strips, so you have to take into account that we don't have that interaction between the perfume and the skin.
So overall, you think the dupes they're pretty good?
They were closer than we thought they would be.
So, buying dupes might be a way to sniff out a good deal and save some money. It may not last quite as long as the brand, but a dupe could tide you over while you save up for your favourite scent.
Remember, check the label of what you're buying and avoid the cheap copies pretending to be the real thing. If you do all that, you'll be enjoying the sweet smell of success.
Even the expert was surprised at how close the fragrances
It's
are.
amazing. It's all about shopping savvy, isn't it?
It
Have a
is.
good sniff of everything and see what you like.
Carry on.
That's all I've got to say.